So career cushioning, that is the topic of the week. We picked up on this because it's one of those phrases that feels like, I feel like there are these like fashionable phrases that burn quite bright and disappear quite quickly, which is a shame because I actually think the foundations, a lot of these phrases are quite important, but when it all becomes quite faddy, I feel like people sort of dismiss how important this can be for their development. So career cushioning is effectively how you invest in your career development so that you are more resilient to change. That's all it is. So that when change happens, you are not so exposed to it. You've got a bit of a cushion. And so you're less vulnerable to that change. That's all it means. And I think, fashionable, faddy words aside, that's really important. I think it's really important that in the context of lots of change and squiggliness, which is obviously, what we talk about all the time, that you feel that you can adapt to it, that you can prepare for it. I always say, you can't control your career, you can control your career development. And I think that's what this career cushioning thing is getting at. But I did want to ask you and get a bit of a sense of, because we're about to do some work actually with LinkedIn in January about career confidence. They've done some research on how confident people are feeling in the context of the current environment. So, recession, everything going on in the world, all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to get a bit of a sense from the PodPlus community. Are you feeling like very confident at the moment in terms of your career in the context of all the change that's going on? Are you like, no, I feel good, I feel proactively cushioned in my career? Or actually, are you feeling, I won't give it a red, I'll give it an amber. Are you feeling a little bit concerned? And in fact, if there is anyone who's like, no, I'm worried, I'm really worried about what the current context means for my career, I'll do a red box as well. But can you stick the stars in the context of the current environment? So all the news about recessions, everything going on, are you feeling like, actually, my career's in a really good place, I can see what's happening, but I feel like I'm well set up? Are you a bit amber? Are you kind of thinking, actually, it's making me a little bit worried about my career, my security, my stability? Or are you kind of, you're potentially quite anxious about this? Does it feel like it's creating a bit of career anxiety for you? Let's get a little bit of a sense of where we're at. Okay. I would say you are probably also a little bit of a biased community. Like the fact that you are choosing to invest in your career on a Thursday morning would make me think that more of you would probably be towards the green than the general kind of community of people at work. But still, it's quite a mix there. So career cushioning effectively is about helping us to get more into this box over here. It's about helping us to proactively take actions so that we're able to kind of adapt to whatever comes our way. So a lot of you are already there, and some of us might have a bit of a move to make. And so what I wanted to do is just bring to life some of the things that we talked about on the podcast, and share a few of the ideas for action. Now, because this is effectively career resilience, I don't think this is new news. I think we've shared some of this stuff before. So if you've been a PodPluser for a while, you might see a few things that we've shared in other sessions, but I still think they're important and relevant. What I have got, though, for you is some new resources, some new stuff that we have created to help with this stuff, some new stuff that I've just seen from Microsoft and LinkedIn today that I think will help as well. So even if there's a few models that you might have seen before, which I still think they're important, that's why I'm showing them again, I've got some new resources for you that you might not know about. So the 4 areas we talked about to help you cushion your career. The first was about proactively having career conversations. So making sure that you're talking to lots of different people about your development, because often it's in those conversations that we become more self-aware and we identify actions. So the first area is have more career conversations, more people, more frequency. The second thing we talked about on the podcast was about skills. So making sure that you are proactively investing in your skills. One of the traps that I often see people fall into is they sort of think they've nailed a skill. So let's say they're a project manager. They're like, I'm really good at project management. And so they stop like investing in their project management because they're like, I've done my project management qualifications, I'm doing the job, and they stop investing in it. But the issue is in a squiggly career then that skill will stagnate. Like you have to keep, we talked about this before, the unlearn, learn, relearn. It's a constant reskilling process with all of our skills at work. Community. So we talked about the importance of having a community around your career. This goes into a podcast that we've done before around strong and weak ties. So anyone that's been a listener for a while, we did a podcast a while ago about the need to work your weak ties. So these are the people that you don't know very well, they see a world of work that you're not in, which means they can unlock opportunities that you might not be aware of. So spending time in communities like PodPlus, for example, is really, really good for your career cushioning. And then the last thing we talked about was the importance of having a support system around your career. So the reason you need a career cushion is because careers are full of change, and that is not always easy to deal with. So making sure that you've got a support system around your career means that you've got people to go to when it's feeling pretty tough. So they were the 4 areas that we talked about, and I'm going to dive into them all more deeply. But what I thought would be useful to do, and maybe do this after today, but I am going to ask you one question to sort of stick stars on my screen, is to almost do a little bit of an assessment. If you were to kind of go 0 to 5 in each of these areas, with how kind of strong you thought they were today, what would you do? So for example, am I having regular conversations about my career? Actually, I am not at the moment. I'm so busy doing the do that I'm not really talking proactively about my career and my development with anyone other than Sarah. And so I'm a bit dependent on one person for my development. Investing in my skills, am I proactively investing in my skills? I think I am. There's more I could do, but I'd give it a 3. My career community, so making sure that I'm learning from lots of different people, lots of different places, I'm pretty strong there. And then my support system is also pretty strong. So at the moment, if I was to score this for me, it would look something like that, which means my kind of gaps for growth are probably more on how can I have better career conversations, like different people and sort of different frequencies, and then maybe a little bit of this skill, maybe a bit more proactive there. So you can see that. The thing I really wanted you to do, everybody, hold off on the stars, though I love the proactivity. Just hold off for a second. Can you put the star on the area of focus for you? I would suggest you might want to score it properly after today. But if you were to pick one area, do you think you need to have more regular career conversations with more people? Do you think you could invest more proactively in your skills? Do you think you could spend more time with diverse career communities? Or do you think you need to build out your support system? If you were going to pick one area that you think is a focus for you right now, which one would you pick? Which one would you pick? Let's have a little look. It's kind of a pretty broad spread. Maybe the sub communities, maybe people it's posts. It's always a bit misleading because you get like the little stars at the bottom of the screen where people are like, how do I stop the stars? Okay, it's a bit of a broad spread. Probably no, maybe community might be the main one. Okay, so I need a reminder, Emma, do not worry. So top of your screen, view options. Right, take your cursor up there and then annotate. Oh, Hannah, it might not work. Don't worry. Let me just do one note on the annotations because I've gone a bit annotation mad today. Got all excited because I've not used it for a while. So Lucy's put it in the chat, but go towards the top of your screen, view options, and then click annotate, then click stamp, then click star. If you're on a phone or an iPad, it might not work. So you can always just stick your answer in the chat. It's not essential. It's just to give us a bit of a view of the community of where we're at. And I would say that the area that we probably collectively are saying we want to invest in is this one down here. So what I thought I'd do is go through each of these and give you an idea for action. So whichever is the area that you'd like to focus on, you know what you could do after today to support yourself. It's a bit of a build on what we talked on the podcast. There's some new stuff. So in terms of conversations, so it can sometimes feel a bit difficult to know what to talk to people about. So it's like, okay, so I need to have more career conversations, but what should I actually be talking about in these career conversations? I always find it useful to have a little bit of a script to start stuff off, and it's more of a script I have in my head, so I know like what it is that I'm going to say, because this is a person I probably don't know very well. I'm going to find out a little bit more about their career and what they're doing, and rather than just think, what do I talk to you about, I always have like a little bit of script in my mind. So there are 3 things that I always talk about in career conversations. 1, I get some kind of sense of a day in the life. So I might say, what's work like for you right now? Or I'm really intrigued by the work that you do. What does an average week in your work look like? Something like that. It's a really easy starting place. And you kind of warm a conversation up. It's always interesting and often insightful. And you find out more about work that you might not have known about. So I will often start with some kind of like day in the life question. Easy for that person to answer, really easy for you to ask, always interesting and insightful. Then, because I'm always kind of curious about career possibilities, I'll always do some questions around maybe strengths or values fit. So I might say, like one of the things that I really want to be known for is career development. Like, what part does that play in the work that you do? Or I might say one of the things that is really important to me is that I have freedom in my work, which is one of my values. I might say, how much is freedom part of the way this organization works? So I'm always trying to kind of think about, is this a role that would be interesting and a good fit for me? So I often ask questions around strengths and values just to see whether this is a place that I could be. Is it a possibility for me in the future? And then I'll often ask about areas of development in career conversations. So I'll say, oh, if this was an area that I wanted to explore more in the future, are there any areas you'd suggest I invest in for my development now? Is there any experience that you think would be useful for me to gain? And I find, I don't always ask all of these questions, but these are like my go-to career conversation questions. And then once you've got a bit of like conversation going, it flows more naturally. But rather than it feeling really forced, I always have these like in my back pocket. So if you're going to have more career conversations, have a bit of like a career conversation script, because it will really help you to get started. And it means that the hard bit about what you're going to talk about has kind of that's been done for you. Steve says, keep at it. I have 3 lunches. That's brilliant. Well done, Steve. That's cool. The other thing, new news, everybody, we have launched this career canvas toolkit for you. So it's a Christmas present for Amazing If, and you can get it on, in fact, someone in the team, if you wouldn't mind popping the link where it is on amazingif.com. So we've been using this career canvas for ages in our sessions. So we do lots of obviously career development sessions with companies, and we often use the canvas as a way of consolidating the learnings through the programs that we deliver. And so what we've done is we've produced, it's about 5 pages. It's a career canvas toolkit. It's got coach yourself questions on all of the 5 squiggly skill areas. It's got coaching questions. So if you're a manager or a mentor, you can use the questions to support other people. But it's quite a good way of either preparing for a career conversation, or if you are having that conversation with someone else in the role of like a manager or a mentor, it's a good way of you asking some curious questions. So hopefully that will be a helpful resource for you. Vivi has put the Canvas link in the chat for you. So please use it. Please share it as well, like on social media. The more people that use it, the better from our perspective. Like, it's free and we know it's helpful. We have tried and tested all of this stuff for a really long time now. I started using this canvas yesterday. Thank you so much. Sam, I'm really pleased. Yeah, so yeah, actually it originally came from like the lean business canvas model. We've been using a form of it for years, and then we've just basically made it look a bit nicer. And then we were like, we should probably just share this with everybody rather than just people we run programs with. So that's the career conversations bit. Love it. A really good model. Yeah, brilliant. I'm glad, Kat. Okay, so then we talked about skills on the podcast. I'm just going to move your stars away for a second, everyone. So we talked about skills. There's 2 areas of skills: furthering your skills, so like your existing skills, and then futuring you in terms of skills that you might want to focus on in the future that maybe aren't part of your role right now. So in terms of the skills, one of the things that we often talk about is the importance of stretching your skills. So, that's a really bad song. Let's do that better. So this is where you take something you want to be known for. So we're talking about skills and strengths. We're thinking about the work that gives you energy that you really want to be known for. So give me an example, everybody. What is something you want to be known for? Like a skill, a strength that you think, this is what I would like people to associate with me. Head into chat. I'll take the one that we can all relate to and one that I kind of can bring to life most quickly. But head into chat. Storytelling. All right, let's take Kat's storytelling for a second. There's some really good ones, by the way, everyone. You came up with those very quickly and specifically. So take storytelling. What Kat might want to do in thinking about stretching that is, first of all, think about the job that you're in today. How could you do a little bit more storytelling in the job that you're in today? So is there like a story of the week, or in a team meeting, could you kind of start with the story? Could you teach people in the team storytelling skills? Like, the best way to learn is to teach. So maybe that's a way of doing it. So the first stretch number 1 is in the job. Stretch number 2 is more kind of in the department that you're in. This works better in a big company context. I'm going to talk about it from that way, but you could translate this if you're freelance or independent, or, I don't work in a big company, so I just have to think slightly differently. We don't really have departments in Amazing If, but we do have sort of different roles and responsibilities. So I could think outside of my job as a CEO, the Department of Marketing, which Vivi owns, could I stretch it in that area a bit more? But this is you thinking about what might be a problem or a priority in a department rather than just where you work on a day-to-day basis that you could use that skill in. So Kat could maybe think about, oh, could I, in the department, could I tell an end of year review through a series of stories? So rather than just using stats, this is what we achieved this year, could we use stories to talk about what we've achieved this year? That could be a different way of Kat kind of using that skill. Then you want to think more about the company more broadly, the business that you're in. If you are there some initiatives, maybe quite kind of things that the company wants to work on next year, some ambitions, like could you, lots of companies have ambitions and missions. So we want to make Squiggly careers better for everyone and make Squiggly synonymous with careers. Is there a way to bring that vision to life through storytelling, for example? Like what could the future look like if we lost the ladder? Kat could tell an amazing story. In fact, Pritesh, who some of you might have come across, is one of our Squiggly career advocates. He created a poem all about Squiggly careers. And that's the sort of thing, like, it's broader than the job. It's kind of as bigger than the business almost. And then the final stretch for you to think about here is outside of your role and your company, how could you further that skill? So could Kat support a charity with storytelling? Is there a network that she could contribute to with these storytelling skills that could help maybe sort of build their brand, connect with different people in different ways? I found actually the charity that I work with, when they were doing some of their campaigning, they were very focused on stats, amazing stats that they delivered in terms of how they supported people, but it's the stories that create the emotion. And so for a charity, being able to tell stories about who they support often unlocks more engagement. So that's just me using the example of storytelling. But the point is, take a skill you want to be known for, and if you want to cushion your career, stretch it as far as you can, because what happens when you do this is the skill just gets bigger and it gets better. And that's what you need when you're cushioning your career. So that's the furthering you. Kat, I'm glad. You see, that's what happens when you chip in. This is the futuring you. So there's like a range of things you can Google around what skills should I invest in for my future. These are 8 that the World Economic Forum say are important. And I don't think you need to develop all of them. But if you are going to future-proof you with your skills, it is worth scanning down this list of skills that the World Economic Forum say that we will all need for the future, and think about which ones of these are you particularly passionate about proactively investing in. So you've got analytical thinking, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, social influence, and technology, design and programming. And so I look at that and think, well, I'm not going to invest in all of those. That's probably not going to be the best use of my time. But I do think if I could do a bit more research on active learning, that's a really bad colour to use, on active learning, that might be a good thing for me to do, both for me and the work that we do. And I'd probably like to do some more on complex problem solving, just to have more structures to support how I solve problems. I think that's quite interesting for me as Amazing If scales. And it's just about identifying these skills that might not feel a big part of your world right now, but are likely to be important to work in the future, and investing them in advance. And to help you out with the investing in advance, Microsoft have just launched today, and this is not like a biased plug because I used to work for Microsoft, but I do think it's great. They have just launched a whole range of new free programs with LinkedIn. It's all part of their future skills agenda. I will, how can I get you the link to this, everyone? Give me 2 seconds and I'll get you the link, because I should have it open on my, where are you? Here we are. This is, if you go, wait a sec, can I find it for you? Here we go. 1 sec, I've got it, everyone. Just give me a minute and I'll come back to you by my Zoom screen. Here we go. This is where the Microsoft new skills stuff is. So they've just launched a whole loads and loads of free programs, and they are very linked to those future skills. So lots of the technology ones are there. There's lots of stuff around creativity. You can see there's stuff around entrepreneurship. So if if you've got a bit more time to learn, you might want to look at that stuff, because there's a lot of useful things there. 4 minutes and 2 more things to talk through, I think. Community. So you're already investing in your community because you're here with us now. But I think when you're thinking about communities that you can connect with, there are 3 things that you might want to think about. what are communities that are connected to my passions? So, what are the things that you love learning? That can obviously be sort of outside of work stuff too. But what are you passionate about, and what communities might exist that you could connect to there? Also, what are communities that are connected to my profession? So my passion, I still love marketing. I'm really passionate about marketing. So I'm part of my marketing community still. My profession is a kind of CEO, and obviously we've got a growing business. So what communities am I part of that help me with my profession? And then I also think it's important for you to think about your progression, like where you see yourself going, what possibilities you're interested in, what kind of communities might help you with where you want to get in the future. And I hope that maybe PodPlus communities, I don't know where do we sit, everyone? Are we a passion? Are we part of your profession, or are we a part of your progression? Maybe we're in a little bit in the middle. Maybe for PodPlusers we're a bit in the middle. Who knows? I like that. There's a heart in passion. But the point is kind of be aware. What is your passion? What's your profession? What you're interested in terms of your progression, and think about what communities might exist, because this is where you'll find the people that work in worlds that you don't, that will connect you to opportunities that you can't see, which is how it helps you with your adaptability. That's the link with career cushioning. Then last but not least, support. So the last area that we talked about was the need to make sure you've got the support around you in terms of your career cushioning. There are 4 roles that really matter most when you're thinking about the support you need around your career. The first is the role of a mentor. So mentors are people that give you advice. You can have more than one mentor. They're just someone who has done what you would like to do, or they've sort of, been where you would like to be. It's that simple, really. The second role that's really useful is some form of a coach. That could be a qualified coach, but it doesn't have to be. If you think about one of the core coaching skills, it's about people who are very good at asking questions that unlock your thinking. And that doesn't have to be a qualification. Like people can just be good at asking questions. Sarah is very good at asking questions that unlock my thinking. My old manager, James, very good at asking questions that unlock my thinking. They're the people that are really useful in your kind of support system, because they just take your brain to a different place. Peers, really important as well. So these are people who are going through what you're going through, and they're amazing for accelerating you, because they basically get you through the knotty moments more quickly. And then the last role that's really useful to focus on here is a sponsor. And sponsors are amazing at advocating you. So they will open doors for development. They've got access and influences in areas that you might not have. And so when you're thinking about career cushioning, just thinking about which of these roles that you've got filled is really important for you. So I appreciate I've talked about a lot. This morning I was on the train and I was thinking, have I got enough to talk to the PodPlusers about today? Like, have I got enough content for them? I'm hoping yes. So that was everything we're going to talk about. If you haven't listened to the podcast yet, give it a listen, because it builds on that, and obviously you'll get Sarah's perspective too. But I do hope it was useful. Next week you've got Sarah, which is the last PodPlus of the year. It won't be me, but you will see Sarah. So this will be probably like a Christmas goodbye from me. And then maybe we'll do PodPlus, and I'll be in the Squiggly studio next year, and I can give you the tour, and I can sit on the yellow sofa. Everybody could sit on the yellow sofa. We'll see. Thank you very much, Kat. I'll let you know how I get on LinkedIn. Stay in touch on like all social media. In the meantime, we've got loads of other stuff coming, and I'm nearly there with it. I'm just working on the 2023 Squiggly career calendar, which will have loads of different ideas for action. And we're doing something different this year, where you can add it directly into your diary. So you can just click on a button, and the action for the month will just get added into your diary. I've now made that commitment, so we have to make it happen. I'm nearly there. Have a lovely Christmas, everybody. Take care, and speak to you all soon. Bye for now. Bye.